Hello everyone and welcome back to this channel. My name is Nurse O, and in this video today we'll be talking about student pathway because in my last video whereby I discussed about express entry, I got some messages from friends telling me if they can explore student pathway because passing IELTS seems to be kind of a difficult task, which I quite understand. So in this video today, we'll be discussing about student pathway as another best alternative you can explore to migrate to Canada. Here with me in the studio today is my husband, Oluwadami Larry. He came into Canada in 2017 through student pathway, and so he had a lot of experiences which he will be sharing with us, ranging from when you are seeking from your admission till the time you'll be applying for your visa. So over to you.
Okay, thank you. Good day everyone, and you're welcome back to this channel. Okay, so I'll be discussing a student pathway as an alternative way of migrating to Canada. I try to make this video short, and I want to try to be as concise as possible. Generally, I'm going to divide this video into three phases. I'll call phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3, so that you can follow through and try to get a better understanding of the entire story. Okay, so the first phase of your student journey to Canada is what I will call the information gathering phase. So in this phase, I like to tell people to do something. Before you even think of applying to any school for admission, you need to first and foremost figure out what you want to study in Canada. I like to advise people that you try to narrow down your search to something that is similar to either what you've done before. Take for example, if you want to come for your master's degree program, I like to tell people that do something that is related to what you've done in your bachelor's degree, or alternatively something that is similar to your career path or your current job. Because sometimes people find it difficult to either get the admission or to, after getting the admission, to secure a visa when you're trying to do something that is like a complete departure from what they've done before. Now, let me make this caveat. I'm not trying to say you cannot study a course differently from what you've studied before. And I'm not saying that is a criteria that if you want to do what you have always done before, you're going to either get the admission or you're going to get visa. Nothing is promised, nothing is guaranteed, but I'm just trying to say how best can you maximize your chances of getting both the admission and the student visa. Yeah, so the first phase, like I was saying, is the information gathering phase. So what do you do in this phase? That's when I like to tell people you visit the school website, try to check up for the courses they have, what are the admission requirements, try to do some kind of self-assessment to see if you meet the qualification, if you meet the requirement for the admission in terms of maybe you want to do master, do they want something equivalent to what we call in Nigeria 2-2 or 2-1 first class, second class upper, or second class lower division, as the case may be. So do some kind of research, the school you would like to go, what is the likely school fee, how do they run their program, when is the admission opening and closing, do they take students in both summer both in fall and in winter, that's September or January, because some schools take new intake both in September and in January. So you need to do all of this in your information gathering. Also, you try to familiarize yourself with the city you want to go. How is it looking like there? A lot of people complain about weather in Canada. We know it's not the best you can find around the world. Yeah, I'm not going to say more about that. So do some kind of a bit of research. How is the city like? Maybe you have black communities in the city. Maybe you want to research about Nigerian community, or what are the resources available to students. So you do a lot of information gathering in this day. So after you are done with that, then the next thing is going to be application for your admission. And now this is where the real work actually begins. because a lot of things are involved in this stage. Number one is after you've decided which course you want to study, you need to know. Let me use my own case as an example. So if you are going to a school that have different kind of master's degree program, maybe some they call it course routes and some they call another one thesis route. So for example, if you want to do a course that is like thesis route, a program that is thesis route, you need to be sure that there's an availability of a professor who is going to supervise you, or somebody who will be interested in your area of studies, because some school will ask you to write some proposal. They want to see where your interest is and if they have resources for supervision. So this has to be ascertained before you can begin your admission process. But in some cases, if it's just like a course route that you just do normal courses, you write the exams, and at the end of the day, you're going to do a final thesis, you don't need to be assured if the supervisor is available or not. Because at the end of the day, you're going to get a supervisor anyways. So it depends on the program you are putting in for. Now, after this has been determined, then you start your admission process, your application process. So you also need to figure out if you want to go in September, which is fall, usually the first week of September. Fall semester start the first week of September, or if you want to go in a winter semester, which starts usually in January. So then after you've checked whether you meet the admission qualification, then you apply, you pay your application fee. Now, during this phase, when you're trying to apply for a program, majority of the school, if not all, we ask you to write like a statement of intent. What do you write in this statement? You want to give a concise and very clear explanation of why you think you're the right candidate for the program, because so many schools usually have like limited number of candidates they can take. They want to make sure they have adequate resources to cater for any number of students they're going to be taking in. So you want to explain in your statement of intent why you think you are the right candidate for the program. You have to let them know what experiences you have, what you studied before, and how you think you're going to cope with the challenges of study. What are the factors that you think is going to work in your favor to be successful in this program. So all of this is going to be put together in your statement of intent, and after that you submit your application. Now, when you are submitting your application, usually you'll be submitting your application with some document. For example, a copy of your previous degree will usually be requested from you to be submitted. And also, if you have like a student copy of your transcript, it's usually advantageous to submit this ahead of time so that they can take some decision based on that while they are waiting the official copy from your school. Now, let me quickly flip back to something I talked about, information guidance phase. Because I know a lot of schools in Nigeria, especially a lot of public institutions in Nigeria, getting your transcripts can be very difficult. It's time consuming. So you need to have figured out all of that, how you want to go about applying for your transcript, how you want to hasten up so that you can beat time, so that all your documents will arrive in your school before they take the final decision. Because usually if you are going in for September admission, admission usually ends around first week or second week of February max, and by this time your transcript must have been ready to be sent to school, because they start communicating to students I think first week in March, depending on school. Like in my own case, I got my admission first week in March, and I'm going to be starting in September. The whole essence of doing that is to allow you enough time to apply for a visa, because of course the school management, they are aware of the fact that international students require some time to apply for their visa and to get a response from the immigration. So this is very critical. Make sure all your documents are ready. Make sure your document is submitted to your school on time. And when you are applying for admission, you require to have referees to give you reference letter. Now it depends on school. Some school we have two, they will request for 2 referees. Some will ask for 3, depending on your school. And different schools have different format. Some school we ask you to just send like a link after you submit your admission. You submit the name of your referee, so you submit their email address, their name, and they will forward a link to them to follow that link and complete all the questions they want to ask them about you. Some school we just ask you to inform your referee to write like a reference letter and be uploaded into your admission. So it's not like a one size fit all. It depends on the school, it depends on the kind of system they run. But in any case, the most important thing about your reference is to make sure that you talk to your referees ahead of time, and make sure it's somebody you can easily get in touch with, you can communicate with. Because in my own case, I made a mistake. One of my referee was back and forth between myself and him. Hey, the internet is not good today, my modem is not working tomorrow. It took me a while and I decided to change him. So I have to inform the school I'm changing one of my referee. That caused some delay. Because I needed time to inform them. I sent another name, they sent me another link to forward to the new referee. So to avoid all of that, make sure that there are people you are always in contact with. And some school will ask you to at least make one of your reference to come from maybe your former professor in your university. Some will ask you maybe your manager at work. So it depends. So make sure you follow the instruction and the guidelines in terms of how they want the reference to be completed. Also, I know most school for students coming from Nigeria, they don't require like TOEFL or any test of English. They know that Nigeria Lingua Franca is English. They know that majority of Nigerian graduates are bright. They know that we can cope. But then, depend on the course. Some school we ask you for GMAT or GRE, depending on the course you want to do. For some management courses, they make GRE like compulsory. So all of these, don't forget I mentioned something about information gathering. All of this should have been ascertained. You should know what exactly they will be asking you for when you are gathering the information about your admission. So you should have known everything that will be required from you. So this is very, very critical. So make sure all the information is completed, all the document is submitted. Get in touch with your reference to make sure that they submit it on time. Make sure that everything is you cross all the T's and you dot all the I's. Everything is properly and correctly completed. Then you submit your admission. Then when you submit your admission, then you wait for a response from the school. Now that you're waiting for a response from your school, so after a decision has been reached, they look at your everything you submitted and they make a decision to offer you a slot in admission. Then you'll be communicated. Usually all of them will send you an email notifying you that you've been accepted into the program. Now it depends on school, but I'll use mine as an example because I got a physical copy of my admission letter. A scan copy was sent to me earlier, and I think the following week I started putting together my visa document, and the following week I got a physical copy of my admission letter. So I know majority of school will reach out to you by email notifying you that you've been accepted into the program, but some will still go like extra mile too. If not all, I don't want to, I'm not too sure, but I know majority of school will eventually send you a physical copy of your admission letter to tell you that okay, we have admitted you, here's your letter. So at the point when the school communicated you and forwarded your admission letter, that is where your journey with the school ends. The school does not have a say. They cannot influence your visa application process, whether you're going to be granted visa or whether you're not going to be granted visa. Your business with the school ends at the point when they either accept you or reject you and communicate whatever decision they have reached to you. That is where your business with the school ends. And now we are going to the third phase. This phase, I don't want to say is the most important phase, but I want to say for sure that it's a very, very critical phase, because that is when it will be determined whether you actually will be able to come to Canada or you will not be able to come to Canada. Because if you get the admission, even with scholarship, with funding, if you do not get a visa, you cannot come to Canada. It's only people who have a valid student visa that can travel to Canada. If you don't have a valid visa, you cannot board a plane. And if you board a airplane, you cannot land in Canada. And if by any magic you find your way inside the plane and you get to Canada, at the point of entry, you'll be deported back to wherever you're coming from. So that's just in the lifetime mode. We really need to understand this critical process. Visa application is the third phase. Now, in this phase, a lot of people usually encounter many challenges because I've seen people asking me, hey, I've seen people, my friend has applied for visa 2-3 times, it's been denied. Now I'm afraid I don't know what my chances are. I would say there are no two cases that are exactly the same thing. Different things applies to different people. But generally, there are some general concepts that everybody that wants to apply for visa, for student visa especially, need to follow. Now, to begin with, let me say at this point, critically, that coming to Canada as a student, it is not a guarantee that you are coming as a permanent resident. So you should have that at the back of your mind, that the original purpose of coming to Canada is for academic tourism. And at the end of your study, it will be expected of you to go back to wherever you come from. I know in most cases, like 95 out of 100, many people will not go back. It's nothing illegal. But don't have it at the back of your mind that you're automatically going to stay in Canada because you don't know if it's going to work for you. You don't know if you're going to like the weather. You don't know after completing your course, you might decide to go back. Or for example, maybe a student that is on sponsorship, maybe by an employer or maybe by an organization, or maybe you sign a bond that you need to come back, whatever. But the immigration expects you as an international student, you come to Canada, you study, the purposes, you've ended your study, then you need to go back. So two things are very critical at this stage, and let me take my time to explain this so that everybody, for the benefit of hindsight, we get the exact picture of what they are supposed to know. Number one thing, there is something they call a letter of explanation. Some people call it statement of purpose, but I like to call it a letter of explanation because in that letter of explanation is going to be your statement of purpose and some other attached additional document to back up whatever you've put together in your statement. So that's why I like it to call it a letter of explanation, because in your application field you see where your personal information, and after your personal information you see a field for your financial information, and after that you see where you put a letter of explanation, and you see another maybe additional document you have. So I like to call it letter of explanation because in this thing a lot of things are involved. Number one, you're going to put together a statement of purpose. In that statement of purpose, what you're trying to do is to explain, not to the school this time around, because the statement of intent, or some school also call it statement of purpose, the one to the school has ended when you are offered a slot. Now, this one is for the purpose of immigration, to apply for your visa. So what you're going to be saying in this one is different from the story you tell the school. Because in this one, you're going to tell the officer that will be reviewing your file why you think you should be allowed to come to Canada, why you think that program aligns with your goal, with your career goal, with your career progression or advancement or whatever you want to call it, why you think Canada is the best fit for you. Why not an European country? Why not an Asia country? Why not another country? Why do you think Canada is the best place for you to get that education? Why not even in your own country? So why do you think you have to come to Canada to obtain that degree? Maybe it's a bachelor, or maybe it's a master, maybe it's a doctorate, as the case may be. So here, how do you write this letter? There are a lot of templates on Google, but let me sound a note of warning here. I always encourage people, do not just copy anything and paste. Make sure anything you want to put together is tailored to your own peculiar situation. Make sure it's something that applies to you, because what are you going to say in this letter? Number one, you're going to talk about yourself, you introduce yourself, what you've been doing since you left school, what your career journey has been, what you are doing currently. Maybe you're self-employed, maybe you're engaged by a company after you left school. tell us all of those stories, not too much, but make them very captivating. Make sure that it's something that really makes sense, that when people are reading, they'll be able to relate with. Now, after you've told us that, then you need to also say in that letter, like I said before, why you feel that the program is a good fit for you, the country is a good fit for you. You have to talk about the funding for your study. Is it going to be self-sponsored? Is it sponsored by an employer, by government agency? If it is self-sponsored, how are you going to finance your study? Do you have like a scholarship? So you have to explain everything. If you don't have a scholarship, what's the financial planning? How do you intend to fund your study? What's the source of the money that you will spend in funding your study? So all of this have to be explained in a very clear, precise, and concise terms. You have to lay everything out one after the other. So after you explain all of those in the letter, then you attach all the documents you feel like it's necessary to be attached, and that is going to be uploaded on your application in the field for letter of explanation. Now, after that is done, another critical thing at the visa application stage, it's your proof of fund, and that's where the problem comes. A lot of people ask me question, how much do you think I should have in my account for me to be granted visa? And I've told people that I've seen somebody with millions in their account and yet they were denied not once, not twice. I've seen somebody that doesn't have as much money and yet they are granted visa. So it's not a one camp fit all. It's a case by case situation. It's an individual different from another individual. So how do you determine? For example, somebody from Kenya is asking me, I don't even know what's the exchange rate of Kenyan currency to Canadian currency. I can't tell you this is how much you should have in the account. Somebody from Ghana, how many millions of CD do I need to have in my account? I can't tell you for sure. Somebody coming from Nigeria, I can't tell you how much naira you need to have in your account. But I can give you a reasonable way to calculate what you're supposed to have in your account. To start with, programs are different from programs. There are some engineering and sciences programs that has what they call program fee. It's usually a one-time lump sum fee. Some school will agree that you do some payment plan. You can pay it over 2-3 semesters, as the case may be. Maybe it's 10,000, maybe it's 15,000. So this is number one. You have to know whether your program has what they call program fee or it does not have. Some courses that have like laboratory experiment that's going to take a while to complete usually have this fee. So find out if there's a program fee. That's number one. Number two is your tuition. Your tuition is what we usually call school fee back home. So what is your plan? How many semesters do you want to do your program? You have to put this in your letter of explanation. For example, if it's going to be 1 year masters of 3 semesters, a fall semester, a winter semester, and a spring, or what some people call spring summer semester. So if you're going to be 3 semesters, that means your fee for your tuition for the duration of the program is going to be paid 3 times, 3 equal installment, first, second, and third semester. Now, if your program is going to take 2 years or 5 semesters, that means you're going to pay 5 times. If it's going to be 2 years or 6 semesters, it's going to be, there's no program that is usually less than 1 year, but it can be 2 years. And normally there's no master program that should be more than 2 years. But that's it's not a cast in stone. School will tell you when you come into the Canada during orientation that maybe you have like 7 years or 5 years to complete your program. So you might take a break. But all of those can only happen after you are in Canada, not when you're from outside Canada. So you should find out what is your payment plan. Like in my own school, I picked a payment plan of 3 semesters. So my original intention was to do my program in 3 straight semesters and pay my fee 3 times, and that's it. But I ended up doing it 5 semesters. That's a personal choice. I did it for another purpose, which is best known to me. Maybe if time permits, I can share the reason why I did that, or maybe in another video or in this video. I'm not sure. So after you calculate whether you have a program fee, you know what your tuition is, then you move to the next one, which is your living expenses. So you need to calculate what will be reasonable for you. And it's also good if you can have like a template of this calculation attached to your letter of explanation, or you just break it down in your letter of explanation. So I don't know, depending on the city you are going, house rent is not the same thing everywhere. For example, in Toronto, in Edmonton, in St. John, in Halifax, depending on the city you are going. So find out from the student, find out from the website, find out from internet sources like Google. There's a lot of information on the internet. How much is like a studio apartment? Maybe usually depends. Maybe 450, maybe 500 per month. Or maybe you want to live in a shared apartment with other students, or maybe like there's a black community or people from your country, or maybe you have some connection with a church or a religious organization that you attend that can help you with information on all of those. So you have to find out how much it's going to cost you to live comfortably for 1 year, especially your house rent and probably your feeding. It's just an estimate, but it has to be a reasonable estimate that is replica of something that is realistic, not like a bogus something that doesn't even bear any true resemblance with the real fact on ground. Then like you do some estimate for your stationaries, your books. You're going to need some little amount to buy books, stationery, and all of those. Put all of this in clear terms in your letter of explanation. So after you put all of those together, I don't know, maybe it comes to 20,000 Canadian dollar, 15,000 Canadian dollar, 30,000 Canadian dollar, as the case may be. Then on top of all of this, you add a premium of extra 10,000 Canadian dollar as a rule of thumb. So put together all your estimate, add 10,000 Canadian dollar, convert that to your local currency. That is how much you're supposed to have. Now people ask me, how much am what rate am I supposed to use for conversion? I would say sometimes exchange rates are unfavorable to majority of developing countries, so you can use your black market. That will put you at very like that's the worst case scenario. But you can also use official rate if it's available, but convert it and tell them the rate you are using for conversion, and tell them this is Canadian dollar equivalence of how much you have in your account. Now, this amount you have estimated that you claim you have in your account has to be backed up with a bank statement, signed, stamped from your bank. If part of how you intend to fund your study includes maybe some form of investment that you want to liquidate, let it be like what we call cash or cash equivalent. Something like within 90 days, maybe it's an investment, maybe it's a share of some bond, or maybe treasury bill. Maybe make sure that it's something that you can sell and realize the raw cash within 30 to 60 or maximum of 90 days. Not that I have a land in Apapa, or my father had a land in Onitsha, and you want to put that as part of. I've seen people done that, and it doesn't work, because the question is, how long is it going to take you to sell land? How are you even sure you're the owner of this land? So they want something cash that can be verified from your bank. Like you put everything together, you support it with all the appropriate document. Like I said, your bank statement has to be there. If you have investment included in your calculation, investment statement has to be there. If it is treasury bill, the treasury bill certificate has to be there. If it's fixed deposit, the fixed deposit certificate has to be there, showing the maturity date and all of that. So all of that has to be put together. If you are a salary earner that earns money every month, I encourage people, what is the source of this fund? Make sure that you put a statement of your salary account and highlight in the last 6 months how the money has been coming into your account. Also, go an extra mile to back it up with your pay stub or pay slip, as the case may be, from your employer. If you can also secure a recommendation letter, I know many employers will be not like, they don't want us to resign, they don't want us to leave them. But if you can also back it up with your employer, like a recommendation letter confirming that, oh, you have an employment with them, blah, blah, blah. If you can go that length, that's fine. In your letter of explanation to prove that you are gainfully employed, you can also attach maybe your letter of employment showing how much your annual salary is, maybe the last promotion you have. Anything that you think can speak for you. Because I usually tell people Canada visa application, it's a no-show application. You're not going to be appearing for any interview. Nobody is there to interview you. Your document you've put together, your letter that you've written, and all the document you've put together will speak for you. So this has to be properly arranged. So lay them out very clearly, back them with all the necessary supporting document, bank statement, letter of employment, pay stub, salary account, in the last 6 months, investment account. And people always ask me, do I have to leave this money in my account until my application is determined? My straight answer is yes. Usually, there's a detailed secrecy rule that might not permit bank to probably tell the immigration when they are confirming that hey, this person still have this money here. But I usually encourage people, leave those money in your account, let it be there. You don't know what is going to happen. They might verify. People ask me, I cannot tell you for sure, but I know they do background check, they do verification. And another thing that is very important when it comes to proof of fund, I used to tell people, you cannot tell me today that you need 20 million to prosecute your academic tourism, to finance your study in a plain language, and the 20 million just develop wing and fly into your account a week, 2 weeks before, and your statement of account is showing that maybe in the last 3 months it's been SAPA, what do we what do you normally call, maybe it's been like near zero balance, and all of a sudden 20 million just develop wing and fly into your account. No, it doesn't work that way. So that's why you need planning. So usually, if it's possible, let it be something that has been sitting in your account for the past 6 months. Or worst case scenario, it could be 3 months, it could be 4 months, but it is not something that will just develop wings and fly into your account a day before you print statement of account. You think you can take the money out again. It doesn't work that way. A lot of things in the local parlance, it's a cast. We have so many things that is happening, and because of bad practices that some people have done in the past, so you can't really get away with a lot of things now. So do your planning very well. There are things I may not be able to say in this video. I'm not sure if I'm going to say later, but if there is need, I might provide some insight into how to go about your fund, because people will also ask me, where do you want me to get 20 million? How do you want me to get 15 million? Like I did mine back in 2016, 2017, and I came in 2017. I did my everything back in 2016. But how did I get money? I don't have all the money. I borrow from friends, I borrow from family, I sell whatever you can sell, but not everybody will be able to
Said whatever.
yeah, whatever you can sell. Like if you have property, like I tell people, like if you are not from a rich background, if you don't have like a rich parent that can fund your study, immigration, it's a project because it requires a lot of things. So how are you going to do your funding if you have to find every means to get money? Don't go and steal. No. That's not what I'm saying. But borrow from friends, from family, from colleagues. And if you have good reputation, if you are the kind that whenever you borrow from people, you always pay it back, people will rally around you. But if you have a bad reputation around money, don't expect anybody is going to give you their money to keep forever. You understand what I'm saying? So, and there are other means that I know people are doing now to fund their account. Maybe I don't want to say that in the open. If you're on at that crossroad, and I know that there's some seriousness in you, that you've put in some effort, and you're at that juncture, maybe I can provide like a one-on-one conversation and tell you exactly how you can go about it. But that's outside the scope of this video. So after you put down your you put together your proof of fund, make sure cross-check everything. Do not make any mistake. And in your first visa application, let me make this note of warning. I want to sound it very loud and clear. Do not submit any fraudulent information. People think they can get away with a lot of things. Some people will be lucky, some people will not be exactly lucky. And if in your declaration, you're saying everything you are submitting to the immigration authority, they are genuine, they are authentic, they are true. But if you submit something that is found out to be false, you can be banned. Some people will get 5 years ban. You won't be able to apply for any sort of visa in Canada, either student visa, visiting visa, or express entry. You won't be able to do anything because you have to wait and serve that ban. So that's why it's very, very critical. Do not submit any fraudulent information. There is a form when you are filling out as a student. They call it family information form. This family information form, you put down your name, you put down the name of your spouse, you put down the name of all your siblings, including your half sibling. Maybe you are same father, different mother, or you are same mother, different father. You put them down, your father, your mother, whether they are dead or alive, or your sibling, that you put all the information down. Now, think clearly when you are filling this form, because any of your sibling, at the end of the day, when you come to Canada, you get your permanent resident, maybe along the line, any of your siblings can also come to Canada. They're going to benefit from that. They can get a 15-point maximum as having a direct sibling already in Canada. So make sure this information are correct. But above all, do not submit any fraudulent information. Another information you're going to need it's your police report. So I can speak specifically in Nigeria. I know that how that is being done. You just go to police headquarters. I did mine at Alagon. You do police character, you take your fingerprint, they check if you don't have any criminal record, they give you a clean bill. You have to upload that character certificate into the application. So when you get to the immigration website, when you're trying to fill all your application, you'll see the list of, there's something they call document checklist. It shows all the documents you're going to need for your application. Now, you submit your application for visa and you wait for response. Hey, wait, that's not the end. When you submit your application for visa, I used to tell people something. People ask me a question. I cannot leave my family. I cannot leave my wife. I cannot leave my kids. I cannot leave my husband. Well, that is a personal decision. I'm not going to help you in doing that. But I want to tell you, if you want to come to Canada as a student and you're bringing a spouse, either a husband or a wife, you need additional 5,000 Canadian dollars plus all the expenses I've mentioned before. If you are coming again with one child and a wife, you need 5,000 for the wife or husband, 3,000 for every additional child. Now, let's be honest with ourselves. I tell people this, let's ask ourselves. On one hand, you want to convince the reviewer, the visa officer, that your purpose of coming to Canada is to come and study. And on another hand, you are bringing the entire family with you, the spouse, the children, if your wife is gainfully employed, your husband, they leave whatever they are doing, they want to follow you to come and study. Are you going to read the book together? Are you going to write the exam together? Now, Canada is very committed to family unification. They like people being around their family, and that's why they have like different programs. If you are coming as an express entry candidate, they know that you're telling us that you're coming to reside permanently in Canada. So they expect you to come along with there's provision for your wife, for your husband, and your children. But if you are coming as a student, there's no law that says you cannot come with them. But I am telling you, based on my experience, your chance of getting your visa when you are coming with the entire family is very close to zero. And I'll tell you why. The reason is because in your letter of explanation, like I mentioned the other time, let me say it very clearly this time around. You have to say it clearly in that letter, your plan after completing your studying in Canada, that you are coming back to your country, because they do not expect you to study and stay in Canada. Now, don't get me wrong, after you finish your program in Canada, there are provisions, there are a lot of opportunity for you to decide whether you want to stay or leave. But that is after completion. For example, depending on the length of your program, you are entitled to postgraduate work permit, which could be 1 year, it could be 2 years, it could be 3 years. In my own case, I got 3 years because I did my program for almost 3 years, 5 semesters. So I got 3 years. So if you do like a straight 1 year, some people might not be exactly lucky. They can get 1 year, some people can get 2 years. But the maximum you can get is 3 years. Now that 3 years is enough time for you, and is a postgraduate work permit, is an open work permit. You can work for any employer. You are not tied to any employer. So for any serious person, that 3 years is more than enough period for you to have figured out how you want to go about your permanent resident in Canada, which you can go back to Express Entry, which you have done a video on that. And there are several other programs. For example, there's Atlantic Immigration Program. If you live in Manitoba, for example, you're going to, like, after 6 months of leaving school, you start working and you school in Manitoba, you're going to get provincial nominee, almost very certain. If you're from another province, if you study in Canada, then you move to Nova Scotia after like 1 year of working, you're going to qualify to get provincial nomination program. Again, anywhere in Canada, after you work in Canada for 1 year, you're going to qualify under Canadian Experience class. For example, if you live in Alberta, Edmonton, for example, where we live in the province of Alberta, you're going to get there's one they call AINP, Alberta Immigration Nomination Program. As a foreign graduate, you're working in Alberta, you're living in Alberta, you're going to qualify. So majority of provinces have different programs, which will be very, very easy for you to get your permanent residence after you complete your study. But don't forget, you are still coming from outside Canada. It is when you get to Canada that you're going to be aware of various opportunities for you to regularize your state, but not when you're outside Canada. So I usually tell people that's part of the sacrifice you need to pay. You may have to leave your family, your wife and your kids, or your husband and your kids, the case may be. In my own case, we were not together for around, I'll say around 16 months. Yeah, if I'm right. Yeah, 17 months. As a matter of fact, I had a daughter just about 30 days after I left Nigeria for Canada. I never set my eyes on her until like after 17 months, because it took me like 8-9 months to apply for them, and there was delay of another like 7 months before it was granted. And after it was granted, we did a bit of a final departure planning, because we know that now I'm in Canada and the 2 kids and my wife, they're coming to join me, so we have to make some preparation. So it might be that long. It might not be exactly that long. Maybe it's just going to be like 12 months, or maybe it's going to be less. But I'm just saying that there are sacrifices that you need to pay. So I think it's better for you to apply for your visa without including your family. However, in your family information form, you list all their names, and they're going to ask you a question: is this person coming to you to Canada? You tick yes or no. Just tick no. So whenever you want to apply for them to join you, it's never going to be an issue. So and the last thing I quickly want to mention about family, this is what I recommend for people. So when you are coming, come alone. And after you come, maybe you already signify that your program is going to be for straight 1 year, 3 semesters. There is no law that says you cannot extend your program. I came in for 3 semesters straight 1 year program, that I extended it for 5 years because I wanted more time to apply for my family.
Years, not 5 years.
I'm sorry, I extended it for 2 semesters, So I did a total of 5 semesters. So there's no law that says you cannot extend your study. So forget about the planning you are coming with. Maybe it's 1 year, maybe it's 2 years. When you get to Canada, a lot of things can change. But by that time, you will have already been in Canada. So that's what I usually tell people. Even if you come in for 1 year, when you get to Canada after your first 2 semesters, you can decide to extend, or you might not take all your courses in a particular semester to give you more time to apply for family. And then when you apply for family, it's almost certain they're going to be granted. So your spouse will now be coming on open work permit, which will enable them to work for any employer of their choice, and your kids will be coming on what they call visitors record. The only disadvantage is immediately they come into Canada, the children will not be able to have a social insurance number, because they don't have like a permanent status. Their status is attached to yours and that of your spouse. But in no time after your study, you get your permanent residency, everybody is going to qualify to have a social insurance number. Even you and your spouse, anyways, you will get a 9 series SIN, which start from 9, and after you get a permanent residence, it's going to change. I think probably to 6. I don't know what exactly you're using now, but might change to 6 series from 9 series. So I don't know if I've left anything behind, but I think this is pretty much how to work through it. If you have any specific question, drop it in the comment section. And if there is something that require to schedule like a one-on-one conversation, why not? If it's possible to have that chat. Yeah, and if you have any question or you still have any doubt or any area you're not clear about, drop the question. And one last thing, maybe I should say this. People used to ask me, what's the chance? What's the chance? I may not be able to say specifically whether you get it or not, but a lot of factors determine whether you. I mentioned some already in the video, like what are you coming to study? Is this something related to your career? How are you able to argue that in your letter of explanation? How are you able to justify that? What's the relationship between what you're coming to study, how it relates to what you have always done, or how it's related to your current career path or your current job, as the case may be. But I know some people, we have different challenge, especially people with study gap. Maybe you've been to school in the last 10 years and you just wake up today, you want to come and do a master's in Canada after you left Nigerian university. The last time you were in school was like over a decade. You might send some red flag that you're just looking for an opportunity to just jack back to come to Canada. So a lot of things happened, but do your research very well, and after you submit the application, we're African, we're religious people, pray about it, but luck we locate it. Yeah, and I think that's all I have to say about that. Like I said, if you have any question, drop it, and I'll be happy to answer your question. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much for the wonderful presentation on how to walk yourself through student pathway. But I have just a quick question for you. I think
okay,
you forgot to talk about that. So after coming to Canada, even though I have a lot of millions in my account before coming, like, is there any chance for me to work? And how many hours do you think I can work as a student? Because we Nigerians, once we move to developed country, we want to quickly work, settle some bills in Nigeria.
I get it. Yeah,
how does that work?
That's very important. I left that behind. My bad. So every student visa in Canada comes with work permit. So you're automatically allowed to work for 20 hours off campus and up to 24 hours on campus. On campus mean there are restaurants, you might be working with a professor. Like in my own case, I work with a professor. Maybe you attach a funding or to a program. You're helping a professor be, maybe as a graduate assistant or to participate in some ongoing research. You can work up to 24 hours. But if it is off campus, it is usually standard 20 hours, and this will be stated clearly. Now, a note of caution: there are things you cannot do as student in Canada. This will be stated in your student permit, in your study permit. They say you cannot work as escort. You cannot work as maybe like in a nightclub. You cannot work in a childcare sector. They will state all the sector you are not permitted to work. You cannot teach, like in a primary or secondary school, because there's some occupation or some job that are regulated, that require licensing to do them. So they will state what you cannot do. Now, currently there's a program that's allow people to work up to 40 hours, and that's going to be enforced up to the end of 2023. Hey, that is not the usual rule. That is just because there are some shortages of labor in some certain sector. That's why people are now allowed to work up to 40 hours. I don't know what the future look like. I don't know when they're going to reverse it, but I know that will stay in force up to the end of 2023. But I also need to tell you this: a lot of people mind is fixated on they are coming to make dollars in Canada. Don't forget, your original purpose of coming to Canada, your original intention is to come and study, and that study must not suffer. You must make sure that you focus on your study. Hey, this is what I tell you: there will be a lot of time to work. If you want to do 10 jobs, 15 jobs, if you want to kill yourself working, that's up to you. But you see, for the time you're in school, the first thing that will cement your stay in school, in Canada, make sure that you face that study, give it all it takes, make good grade, and finish it. Because if you don't finish the program, you cannot extend the program like forever. And if you enter into a program, it's stressing life out of you, it's not as difficult like in back home in Africa. You can quickly switch between program. You can go to maybe a less demanding program. Just make sure that you go to school, you complete that school, because immediately you complete that school and you want to do your express entry, for example, studying in Canada will give you a 30 point. And studying in Canada will also give you, after your study, an opportunity to apply for postgraduate work permit. So, which technically, if you're able to complete your study, your dream of Japa is realized. How to bring your family, all of those is not going to be an issue. But if you don't complete that study, or maybe you just come to Canada, you're just chasing money around instead of being in school, you're working 40 hours off campus, you're not doing your school assignments, you're missing classes, you're not doing tests, you're failing exams, and now you run out of your status in your student permit, you now want to renew. So somebody is now verifying from your school. There's something we call enrollment verification, which means that every semester, as an international student, you're supposed to be registered in school. There's a minimum courses you are supposed to take, but even if you are not taking any courses, do not miss a semester without enrolling, because that what shows that now in Canada you have not abandoned your purpose of coming to Canada. So you must always make sure you enroll every semester, because when you are applying for renewal of your studies permit, you need to present an evidence that you are enrolled in a school that has what they call designated learning institution, DLI number. So do not make that mistake. Some people will get to Canada, they'll be chasing money, they abandon the original purpose. At the end of the day, they run into different kind of trouble. So yes, for work you can work up to 24 hours on campus, 20 hours off campus. Currently now there are some relaxed rule, but that's just for the moment. I don't know when that's going to change, but the most important thing I want to tell people is some people have told me that I don't even have any money. All the money I want to put in my account, they are borrowed funds. So am I going to be able to work in Canada to pay my fee? I will not say it easy like that. You're not coming to study, and your first semester you want to do all the work to get all the money to pay your tuition, and you still want to stay in school. How is that going to be possible? You're supposed to have some kind of backbone. I'm not saying come with like every million, but at least maybe something that will be enough for you to pay for your first semester, because you come in, you do your documentation while you're trying to search for a job, trying to know your way around the city, your bus route, how to move from your house to school, how to move within the city, and all of that. So it's not going to be like exactly easy. So I don't want to paint this picture that immediately you come to Canada, it's going to be like a paradise, that you don't even work at all, you just get to the back of your house and pluck some dollar on the tree. It doesn't work that way. So people need to be prepared. When you come to Canada, face your study, ensure that your study doesn't suffer. Make sure that you finish the school. Immediately you finish it, the rest about your migration, your permanent residency journey will just be as easy. Yeah.
Thank you so much. And in addition, if you are coming to Canada through scholarship, you need to work hard. Like, you need to study hard, because there is minimum amount of score you need to be getting each semester in order to maintain your scholarship. I know in my husband's case, he told me then he was giving scholarship, but along the line, things of the world, wife, how will my kids come in? Like, he wasn't able to actually maintain that score along the line.
No, that was not true. So what happened in my own case? Okay, it wasn't a scholarship. Mine was a funding.
Okay.
It was a funding that is attached to a particular project. I don't want to be specific now. It was attached to a particular project working with a professor. And that funding has condition. The condition of that funding is that minimum every semester, all the courses you take, you must score 75 in all. Now, if you don't score 75 in all, you must score like 80, 85 in some, so that will compensate that your average score any semester must not be
below 75.
But 75 is not the pass mark. The pass mark for master's program school I attended is 65. It's not 50. It's not like let my people go. You must score minimum of 65 to pass the course. But for that funding, they put a premium on top, that if you want us to keep you under this funding, and it's not a scholarship, it's just like a funding that, okay, you'll be giving us X amount of hours every week, and we guarantee you we'll be paying you this, and it's something that will cover your tuition, right? But if in any semester your average score is now up to 75, yeah, in my own case, I got like half of my funding cut off, but I got another one in replacement. Yeah, so but that doesn't work like that for everybody. Not all admission comes with any funding. Some will be coming from Nigeria without anything promised, maybe like a job with any project or with any professor. You just come in on your own. You are the one that will be responsible to pay your fee. You are the one that will be so mine is it's just technically like, okay, we got you a job before you come. This is the job you'll be doing for us, and we'll be paying you this. But in addition to paying you this, for us to keep you on this project, your academic standard has to be this high. So that is not like a rule of thumb. If this scholarship, most scholarship don't have condition attached. Most have a less stringent condition that just pass all your courses, make sure you're in school. As long as you're showing evidence that in your school, the scholarship is going to cover you. So whatever funding or scholarship you get, make sure that you're aware of the terms and condition of that scholarship or that funding, and you must always strive to make sure that you abide by the terms and conditions of that particular setup. Yeah.
Okay, so thank you so much everyone for watching. This will be the end of this video on how to come to Canada through student pathway. So in case you have any question on this video, maybe you still need further explanation how to start and you don't know where to begin from, just drop a message for me in the comment section. I'll reach back to my amazing teacher who will be giving us best answer. If you are just new and you just come across this video, please don't forget to subscribe, and you know what, don't forget to give this video a good thumbs up. You know, it's not very easy, but you know, thank you so much everyone for watching. I appreciate you. Bye for now.
All right, guys, thanks. Peace out.